And this is going to get you A players. Yep. This is going to be top talent that you know. These are the self-starters. These are the ones that are motivated. These are the ones that take ownership. These are self-managing people.
Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver. We're so excited today. I got a question for you. Are you tired of hiring the wrong people? Are you tired of making a hire and then that new hire doesn't show up the second day on the job? Or how about 3 months in, they're like, yeah, this isn't for me. All right, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Is not about attracting the right people, but the process to put new hires through before you ever offer them a job opportunity.
We're going to be talking about the hurdles.
Hurdles before hiring, baby. Let's go.
Hurdles that you have to set up. So we were chatting about this before, and this is a conversation that we have a lot with insurance agents where they're frustrated. They're having to have the firing conversation, the expectation conversation too much. And nobody likes that.
No one likes firing. I made multiple poor hires throughout my career in multiple sales organizations. And it's not fair for the person that you're offering the job to, nor is it fair for me. Everyone's frustrated in that. And I don't know if anybody really likes firing people.
And not only that, not just the emotional side of it, there's a cost to that.
A huge cost.
There is a cost to hiring somebody, going through all of the time and effort and money that you put into training, getting them up and running, the systems, the tests, everything for them not to work out. So we're going to break down the hurdles that you should set up before you get into it.
Yeah. I mean, a wrong hire is going to be your biggest expense as a business owner, period, every single time.
You ready to get into the hurdles?
Let's do it.
So I want to talk about LinkedIn. So I recently got hacked on LinkedIn. And I joked that it was my punishment because I didn't even know you could get hacked on LinkedIn. It was my punishment because I talk so much shit on LinkedIn about how businessy and corporate-y it is. But truth be told, I'm back on LinkedIn. It is the best place to find talent.
I love LinkedIn. Let me just put that out there. I love LinkedIn, and I think a majority of business owners are sleeping on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Not Indeed, not Monster, not Career Plug. We've never found really great talent on those websites. It's always been on LinkedIn because somebody is actively invested in growth. They're actively networking and they're looking to improve.
Absolutely.
So as much as I always talk like, oh my gosh, LinkedIn, it is the place to be. So let's start with LinkedIn.
Quit sleeping on LinkedIn. Better yet, if you have not connected with us on LinkedIn, this is the first step to taking action, baby. Connect with us right now on LinkedIn.
So step one, if we're going to talk about the application process, this is the first hurdle. So you would make a post on LinkedIn. Now, I'm going to get a little bit granular here, if we can, for just a second.
Let's do it.
This is very similar to your ideal customer. And I know we've talked a lot about your ideal customer, who they are, what's important to them, what characteristics they have. Attracting your ideal producer, your ideal coworker looks very similar. You want to know what kind of skill sets they have, what kind of characteristics they have, what their work behavior is like. So instead of saying highly motivated, driven, get more granular with that. If they're going to be in a position to where they're making 200 cold calls a day, be very honest that you need a self-starter. You need somebody who can finish a task. You need somebody that doesn't have call reluctancy. You need somebody that has great communication skills. So whatever position that you're looking to hire, and this is where I'm going to lean on ChatGPT because I love ChatGPT, you can ask, what characteristics do they have? What are you looking for? You also have to keep in mind what your work environment looks like.
So I was going to say one thing that we've received a lot of really great feedback on within our ads is including what we're about as a company, our core values and things of that nature. So not only who is the ideal person that you want on your team and what traits do they need and what can they expect, but how about you? in your culture, your environment? What are you about in your organization about?
Yeah. What sets you apart? And I want you to be really honest. You're going to hear us talk about this throughout the process. We have a tendency when we're hiring, we're usually on the back end of things. It's usually too late. So we're painting this beautiful picture about how wonderful the work environment is and how wonderful the opportunity is. Be honest. If it's a gritty position, share that it's a gritty position. If you're in a very fast-paced environment where you have high expectations and you're very results-oriented, share that. On the front end, even if you are like, oh, I am like 3 months behind and already I should have filled this seat 3 months ago, you still make sure that you have that in place before you put that post out.
Yep.
Because the slower you are in this process, the more honest you are in this process, it's going to help you in the long run. Because if not, if you paint this beautiful, lovely picture, 6 months from now, you're going to be in the same situation.
Yep. And here's the thing is, even if you are using a recruiting service, you're still going to benefit from what we're talking about right here. So not only do you need to have what you're talking about, that ad, so then you're going to collect applications, right?
Yep. And that's an easy process, especially on LinkedIn. We like to put some money behind all of our ads, anything that we're hiring for. We are 100% of the time always hiring. There is always some kind of ad going for some position that we have. Even if we're not currently hiring at the time, here's another like pro tip. You're always hiring, right?
We're collecting resumes, like
collecting
always
resumes.
Trying to find those A players, the rock stars.
Yep. So when it comes to putting some money behind it, LinkedIn is easy to apply. It's just one little click button.
Yep.
So here's the first hurdle that you're going to set up. So put your ad out there, get very specific, who you are, what the position is. It's going to be easy for them to apply. You're going to go through those and you're going to know right off the bat, yay or nay. Be very particular with that. Have them email you a video, a 60-second video of why you should hire them. This is the first hurdle. This is a very important hurdle because we have had hundreds of resumes come in. And when we ask for the video application, the video submittal, we'll get 5.
Very few. Like this is a hurdle that you need to have. Like if you take anything away from today's episode, this is it.
Yeah.
Like you need to have every single candidate send you a video resume, a video saying why they are a perfect person for the position, why they're interested, why they want to work with you. 60-second video. Because if you are in a customer facing business like we are, or you're meeting with customers virtually, you're going to easily be able to see how they show up. How are their communication skills? This is instantly going to save you time in the interview process.
Yeah.
And they weed themselves out.
Yeah, because then they'll opt out and be like, okay, this is too much. And to your point, it doesn't matter what position you're hiring for.
That's right.
You want to see how they communicate. You also want to see what their energy is like. Are they somebody who's incredibly enthusiastic? Are they somebody who's a little bit lower key? Like, are they a good fit with everyone else that's in the office?
Hey, in the world we live in today, you have to be able to show up like this. Like, I'll never forget, we had someone respond when we asked them for a video and they're like, yeah, can we just have an interview like a normal organization does? And I was like, well, that's an easy way to definitely not get a job. So on to the next person.
Thank you. You made our job easy.
Thank you so much.
But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to set up these hurdles. So by the time we actually offer a position, we know without a shadow of a doubt that we've done everything that we can to not only set them up for success, but set ourselves up for success.
So this is hurdle 1.
That is hurdle 1, a video application. And it doesn't, if you're using something else, again, if you're using a recruiting service, if you're using any other like Monster, Indeed, Career Plug, whatever, everyone has to send, if you're putting something out on Instagram, everyone has to send you a video application.
Collect the resumes, go through the resumes, respond with, great, please send me a 60-second video.
So that's the first one. Next one, group interviews. So I love group interviews because it's kind of like speed dating and you get to see how people react in a group. Here's another pro tip. If you are in a position to where you can have somebody else do the first interview, do it. Whether it's an office manager, an assistant, somebody that you really trust in the office, like your sales manager. You want to be the one that comes in at the very end that says, yep, this person is a fit or no, because time matters.
Time definitely matters. It's the most important.
It's the most important and valuable asset that we all share.
That's right.
But this is where the group interview comes in too.
Group interviews are money.
So we used to do interviews one at a time, and we'd have like 20 or 30 to do. Oh. And it would take days, and we would just back to back to back
and
have
exhausted.
The same conversation, asking the same questions. Tell me how you'd overcome this. Tell me about a time when you had to go through this. Describe yourself. Tell me about this in a position you're having. It felt like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Versus if I put you in a group and I can ask the same question to every single person or a different variation and hear how they overcome objections, how they work in a group too. How do they respond? You can watch their body language when they're listening to somebody else.
How they show up. How they show up. By doing a group interview virtually, you see how people show up. Like you're instantly going to be able to be like, you're not a good fit.
Yeah.
You're not a good fit. Like how they show up. Remember, this is like a first date. If they're not impressing you on the first date, they sure as shit ain't going to impress you in like when they're working with you. All right. Like this is really, really important. This is a great hurdle as well, because again, time is super important. So just like Courtney said, if you can have someone from your team do this step for you or with you, or if you're the only person that can do this, great, but this is going to save you time because you can interview 5 people all at the same time, which would originally taken you, let's just say each interview is an hour, 5 hours. Now you're interviewing all 5 people in 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. And basic questions that you can ask are the questions: how do you overcome this objection? Tell me about a time when you had to overcome something at work. Describe a perfect work environment for me. Tell me when you had to deal with a difficult customer. We're in insurance, in a difficult market. It is a hard market. I want to hear about the struggles and how they've overcome them. I also want to know their daily disciplines, their habits, their characteristics.
Yep.
So walk me through, like, how do you mentally prepare for the day?
One of my favorite questions I always ask is, what's the last book you read?
God.
Like, are you developing and coaching and training yourself right now? Because if you're not developing yourself right now, the likelihood that you're going to develop yourself when you start with us is very low. Like I want people that are trying to get better, that are constantly thriving to be the best person in the room.
That they're coachable. Ask them a question that would make them uncomfortable. You know, like, tell me about a time when somebody tried to coach you and it didn't go the way you wanted it to. Or try to coach them while you're on the interview and see how they react to it. Yeah. I love the book question, because you watch people, they start to get shifty, and all of a sudden you're like, those Audible credits, I'll take those if you're not going to use those, because I can tell you're not using them.
And look, and you may get like one of the best responses I've received was, I haven't read a book in a while, but I listen to a podcast every day. Great. Tell me what podcast you listen to.
Yeah.
And they walked me through the podcast. Yeah. What are you listening to? Like that's just important to me. Like I want to be surrounded by those individuals that are trying to get to the next level, because if you don't find development important, you're going to be complacent. Like there is no in between in this, especially in a sales role. Like you're either getting better or you're not. In life, you're either getting better or you're not. Yeah.
And that goes back to the beginning of like, what are your core values as an agency?
Yep.
What are your core values as a business? And what kind of people are you looking for? That's very important to us, is that we have somebody who is prioritizing their personal growth or professional growth, but is also very coachable and open-minded. So the group interview is a game changer. Let's move on to the one-on-one interview. There are 2 questions. I'm going to drop some nuggets on you right now. There are 2 questions that you have to ask in an interview one-on-one. The first question is, what would make you quit this job? I need to know right off the bat what sends you out the door. And I need you to be really honest with me. The second thing, and it's not a question, it's actually a statement. You tell them what would make you fire them. So you lay out the expectations right off the bat. So you know what would make them fire you, and you tell them what would make you fire them. Again, it's all about transparency, honesty, clear expectations, because this is where things start to get murky. We get into the interview. We're hustling to get somebody in here. We're behind. We'll grab anyone with a pulse. If you're breathing, you're in. And then we get 3 months down the road and we're like, what the hell? Yeah. Or we try to make it this beautiful, lovely thing. We're in sales. Be honest about what that looks like.
And even if you're hiring for a CSR position, like, that is not an easy position. That is not an easy position. They are dealing with people on their worst day. They're dealing with upset, irate customers every day. Like, let's not paint a rainbows and unicorns picture. Like, let's be real. Because if you're not real in the interview, that relationship is not going to work. It's just not. So these are great hurdles right now. So we've collected resumes. Mm-hmm. We've made them send in a 60-second video. We've done a group interview. Now we're doing a one-on-one interview where we're clearly stating we want to know what would make them quit, and we're going to tell them what would make us fire them. We're not done yet. Mm-mm. We still got some hurdles. Mm-hmm. All right. We got one more. So now in the interview process, now this can be a second interview after your one. So maybe you have a group, then you have a one-on-one. Now it's time. This person you're serious about. You're like, they are good. But let's actually see them in real life. Let's actually see what they can do. So one thing I would recommend if you're hiring a sales producer or a sales agent, let's have them make some cold calls. Let's coach them on a word tracker script, and you have 100 names, and you say, call as many people as you can in the next 30 minutes with the goal of getting someone on the phone and getting information and transfer to our team. Like, clear expectations, clear coaching. This is going to see, number one, how coachable they are. How coachable are they? Because you're telling them, you're coaching them. Yeah. 2, call reluctance. And even if you're an office that doesn't make cold calls, you still have to be willing to pick up the phone and talk to people. Like, call reluctance, you need to know from the very beginning. You're looking for rock stars. You're looking for individuals that can come in and make an immediate impact. Somebody that's scared to get on the phone is not going to be a good sales producer. All right. Unless you want somebody that you're like, you can see good characteristics and traits, and you're like, okay, I think we can maybe to even talk about mindset in this, but you're setting up this hurdle from the very beginning, because kind of what you said, and I don't remember who says this, but I need to work with you before.
Seth Godin, I have to work with you before I work with you. So there's always a project. We do this in every capacity of our business. So if I'm hiring a graphic designer, if I'm hiring a marketing team, if I'm hiring a sales producer, anything, customer service, I always have a project that they have to do before they're actually hired. Number one, I want to see how they take direction. I want to see how coachable they are. I want to see if they implement, and then I want to see how they fulfill their project. Yep. You know, if there's any questions, how do they ask for feedback? Yep. What does done look like for them? These are all little things, and you pay them for this.
100%.
Pay them for this project, because I'm not trying to get anything free out of this. This is me really making sure that our working relationship, that not only I can work with them, but they can work with me, because I'm going to give feedback a certain way. I'm going to coach a certain way. I'm going to have a certain level of expectation. So I need to know before we're actually working together that we can work together.
And you're compensating them for their time.
Yeah.
Like so highly recommend you putting some type of hurdle, no matter what it is, whether it's cold calling, whether it's coming in and answering the phones just to take messages or transferring to the team, like some type of hurdle to where you actually see them working in real life in your culture. How are they getting along with the team? How coachable are they? Great. So once you have this hurdle, we're still not done yet. We're still not done. All right. At least for a producer, what I'm going to recommend. Okay. For a producer, great. Now we're going to offer a job. But when you show up on day one, you have to have 50 names and numbers of individuals that have said they would be willing to get a quote. They'd be willing to let you quote their business. And guess what? If they show up on day one without that list, see ya.
So we used to do this in agency. And you had to have 50 hot leads that you would walk in. And we weren't very firm about staying to this.
Nope.
We'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. I can tell you there were 1 maybe 2 that I can think of out of all the producers that we had that showed up with hot leads. And those 2 easily were Century Club producers.
They were the best producers.
They were writing 100 policies a month because they were self-starters. They were willing to hunt for their own food.
Yep.
They knew they had personal ownership.
Yep.
They just had grit. And grit is something that you cannot teach. Like, you have to see, do you have it or do you not have it?
Yeah.
So as much as you're going to want to pull back, cautionary tale here, don't. If they don't show up with the 50, if they can't do that, I mean, you're going to want to give them some slack. Please don't, because it's just going to cause you, it caused us so much headache.
Learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, learn from our mistakes, because I know it's easy. You went through all these steps. You've collected the resume. They've done the 60-second video. They blew everyone away in the group interview. They answered all the right questions in the interview. They came in. They showed you what they could do. I know it's easy to be like, oh, okay, I understand. No, don't do that. Like, this is a hurdle. This is an expectation.
Yeah.
Because if they're willing to not hit this expectation, they're willing to not hit other expectations.
This is where it's no longer tell me what you can do. Show me
what you can do.
Show me
That's
what you
right.
can do.
That's right.
And this is what we're talking about. So we've covered a lot,
Ooh. Ooh.
but this will help so much when it comes to having tough conversations. It will help save you so much money, save you so much time. This is going to get you A players.
Yep.
This is going to be top talent that you know. These are the self-starters. These are the ones that are motivated. These are the ones that take ownership. These are self-managing people, regardless of the position.
And again, these are all things that we have learned along the way of our entrepreneurial and business owner journey.
Yeah.
Like, lots of frustration, lots of headaches, lots of stress, lots of me and her having conversations like, oh man, I don't think he's going to make it. We're only 6 weeks in. I'm going to have to have this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to fire. Like, this is not good.
Yeah.
We are just trying to share what has worked well for us, what we have learned from, so that you don't have to go through the same headaches. You don't have to have the stress. You don't have to have the frustrations. And guess what? You can go through all these steps and you still may make a bad hire. Like, it's going to happen, but these steps are going to, number one, make sure that people are serious about working with you. They're willing to go through multiple hurdles and actually show you they want to be a part of something. And there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. So we're action people. If there is an action that you are going to take from everything that we talked about, do us a favor, text us 816-727-7610. Because again, we're not going to ask you to tell us. We're going to ask you to show us. So take action on this. I'd love to hear your feedback. If there was something particularly like earth-shattering that you're like, oh, I never thought of that. I'm doing that right away. Make sure and text us. As always, time is the most valuable asset that we all share. And we appreciate you spending the last few minutes with us. Go out, make it a great day.